All right. I am here with our sort of tiebreaker. There wasn't really a fight, but I'm here with April Mack. Hey, April.
Hi, good to be with you
Yeah,
today.
hi. How are
See you
you?
and hear you.
Yes, because we do post this on YouTube and also on the podcast. But April is an executive coach and a speaker, and she also has her podcast, Real Estate Masters, which is great. But you don't only coach real estate agents, right?
No, that's right. I coach executives, small business owners, just anyone that's really wanting to grow in their, in their business, in their professional life. So
Nice.
yeah,
That's
it's really
awesome.
fun to work with people, especially that are very driven and want to be the best they can be and see them
Yeah.
accomplish that.
Yeah, no kidding. And everybody needs help. So that's good to have people like you. I myself cannot be a coach, but I'm happy that you are. So you, April, are going to give us some tips on. So we have a listing that's about to expire or has expired or whatever. Like we're having anxiety about this expired listing.
Yes,
What
yes.
are some tips? Like, what can we do? Do we just let it go and say, oh, well, I
Oh,
suck. That's it?
yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, maybe
Maybe.
so. Right. No, no, that's the wrong answer.
Yeah.
And no, and I was trying to think about this and you told me what my question was going to be because in full disclosure, I am no longer a licensed real estate agent.
Hmm.
I was an agent for a long time and actively sold and had was a broker owner of a company and worked with a lot of agents in my company, and so it's always interesting, and I always hated and dreaded that call with
Right.
that expired listing. And of course, so much depends on the market and what's really going on. And then I was thinking about it too from a if I'm the homeowner,
Hmm.
my perspective from that. And so I think that honestly, I think a face-to-face meeting is probably the best thing because I think it's really
Yeah.
time to get a new game plan. And I don't
Right.
know if that can happen so well over the phone. And I think to come in and really, as a coach, I'm a person that asks a lot of questions. And so I'm thinking about the fact that we come in and everybody has to take some ownership.
Hmm.
I'm not a problem focused person. I'm a solution focused person. So I think coming into it and looking at what is the solution.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got something that's not working,
Right.
and whether we're going to blame that on the market, the location. I mean, obviously, you have those unique
Right.
properties, but if it's a really
By
great,
unique, do you mean like smells like cat pee and has the power line behind it?
then that's an issue. And I'm wondering, yeah, why? Yeah, did I really want to take that listing in the first
Right.
place?
So, yeah. But I
And
think,
again, I think
yeah.
then you also look at the reputation of of an agent. I
Hmm.
mean, do you want um and everybody's different. We've talked about that before. I mean, some people are going to take those challenging properties and price them right. And my father-in-law, being a real estate family, and that's how I got into real estate. My father-in-law had this line. He would say, there's a butt for every seat.
Yep.
And so, there's somebody that will buy that property. We just have to find it. So if it's an unusual piece of property, we've just got to wait for the right time. But I think coming
Hmm.
into that expired listing and having a new game plan and
Yeah.
saying, okay, so the timing wasn't right, but we're going to continue to move forward. And maybe these are some new things that we're going to implement into our game plan and looking at it positively and
Yeah.
patiently.
Yeah.
So obviously there's so many scenarios that go into it, but I personally think it needs a face-to-face
I
meeting.
think that's a good idea. And I liked you for this question because you do coach other businesses. So we could take this and kind of expand the question of like, okay, what do you do if you're about to like lose a client?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to lose them. And I think that's a really good point. And I never really thought of it is doing that face to face. It's a lot. You can read their body language. You can ask more
Yeah.
questions. Like it's easier.
Yeah. I feel like for me, I'm going to relate a lot better to that person face to face.
Hmm.
And it's going to be harder for them to fire me face to face than it is over the phone.
And
You
back
know,
to
if,
your,
if, If I've
Yeah,
already made an investment in this listing, I don't want to walk away. I don't want to be fired from this job. I want the opportunity to get a check at
maybe.
closing.
Yeah,
And I want to be the person that gets the check, not the new agent. And how
right.
many times has it happened? The listing expires, they list it with somebody else, and 3 days later it's under contract.
It's
But it wasn't
annoying.
because the new agent, it's
Right.
just the timing.
Yeah.
So,
And that was like my point in the, I mean, you haven't heard the podcast because we haven't released it, but my point
right.
was, is take it and refer it because you have done like all the hard work. But I do think, I mean, I understand your point of view of, well, I don't want somebody else to get the paycheck, but you had said also before, which I think is is figure out, do you really want this? What is going to be different? How can I show them that maybe it was a timing issue or maybe like whatever it was,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
I mean,
And
that
if
was great.
they're an annoying seller,
Bye.
buy.
Refer them.
That's right, because it's not worth my time. Time is money, and if
Yeah.
they're not going to be cooperative,
Right. If it's just not working because of a personality clash, that's a totally different conversation. Now, if that's the case, do you think that's a face to face or do you think you can do that over the phone?
no, I'd probably do that over the phone because I'm not going to invest any more
I
time.
know, right? Ugh.
Yeah.
So I like it. If you still want it, be prepared. Make sure they know that you still want it. Be prepared
Yes.
with what your thoughts are, not only why it didn't sell, but what are you going to do differently and do it face to face.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I like it.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad you approve.
Well, I really appreciate you being on. Will you, so if you, most of the people that listen to our podcast, they're real estate agents. So if they
Sure.
are looking for a coach, what type of agents do you coach or where do they need to be in their business in order for you to help them?
I will take anyone at any point in their business because
Okay.
to me, every person ought to be interested in growing.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
obviously, you and I've had a conversation about when is enough, or,
Yeah.
when do we say this is what I want? It doesn't, more is not always better. But I think we can always grow.
You can still
And
grow even if
we
it's
can
not
still
more.
grow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, I work with anyone that really wants to grow. I know a lady that when she hired a coach, she doubled her income in 6 months.
That's pretty
And
common when you hire your first coach is I mean,
yeah. And
why
so
is that?
I think it's a focus. I
Okay.
mean, to be honest, it sounds kind of very elementary, but I'm a very practical thinker. But I think so often we have little mini conversations in our head, but they're a few seconds,
Yeah.
truly. We think about what we want to accomplish. We think about what our goals are, how we want to get there. But there's so many interruptions. And having a focused conversation with someone that's asking you the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
And as a coach, that's what I'm doing. I'm asking you the right questions. Why is this important to you? What is the value? What is it going to cost you if you don't move forward in this particular area? And so, and when you're having that conversation with somebody, then you're focused on that and you're not letting 25 interruptions move your brain to something else. So it's such an intentional conversation. But
they don't let you off the hook either.
Right. And holding accountable. And the other thing is, I love this statistic. When we say something out loud and when we have accountability, there was a study done by Harvard many years ago, and people made 10 times more money.
What?
Yes.
That's great.
Over a period of time. And I don't have that exactly in front of me, but it's true. And, and I've really tried to be very much more self-conscious. I have a coach myself of saying out loud what I want to accomplish. And sometimes those are just little things, but it's amazing how much difference it makes when we say it out loud and somebody else is hearing us. And so, I mean, I think that having a coach, it's not counseling. It's all about moving forward. And so I love working with anyone in any place they are. I have brand new agents actually that I've just signed on. He decided that, he wants to do extremely well. And so it's important to him. He hired me from the very beginning. So I'm really excited to work with him.
Having a coach in the beginning is good. I did myself. And it was actually Monica, my co-host, was my first coach. And it's like, then you don't have all the bad habits. You could just start kind of clean slate, get all the junk that out of your
Yeah.
head or whatever, and just go.
Right. And
Yeah.
then I think for the seasoned agent that even maybe is doing extremely well, but now is looking at what is the next step
Or
for
what's
me.
the exit plan, or what's the, I mean,
Yes.
anything, because you coach
Yes.
like all kinds of businesses. That's a good perspective.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
awesome.
So
Well, I
I love
really
it.
appreciate you being on. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
My website is coachaprilmack.com. That's Mack with a K, like the Mack truck. So coachaprilmack.com. And all my information is there. And you can find me, Coach April Mack, on most all social media platforms. So,
That's awesome. Thanks a lot,
yeah.
April. Have a good
Thank
rest
you,
of the
Jennifer.
day.
You too.
See ya.